All right, you recording?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll take it away. Hi guys, thanks so much for being on the call and making the time to be here live if possible or watching the recording. Me and Kate we talked a little bit about trying to do things differently because we want to grow and when something's not working, you do it different. And so I really want, we'll see this call, we'll see how it goes, but we really want to have like team calls that are like really interactive. And because I was like brainstorming with her, I was like, I want a team call where everyone's like pouring ideas, and I'm like, why can't we have that? You know? And I think it's because I see how Amy did it, and Amy's always had a really large team. So she's like talking to us, and there's nothing wrong with that kind of training, but we are a small team and there's no reason why me and Kate should be the only ones talking at anyone, because you guys have a lot of, like we could all work together here. So, but sometimes from time to time, we'll have like specific trainings, or maybe as we get more participation, we could have like guest speakers and, things like that, which I would really love. So don't feel pressured. I don't want it to scare people away, but I just really want it to not always just be like me and Kate just like talking and you guys having to listen for a whole hour. I'd rather you guys spend that time, as much time as you have, working your business, not just listening to me and Kate talk, even though thank you for listening to us talk. So I wanted to talk a little bit about, I just started this book and it gave me the inspiration for the team call tonight. Literally, I'm only like a chapter in. So I really recommend that everyone check it out. I've already learned a lot, and it kind of got me thinking about what I wanted to talk about today, which is like storytelling and like defining your brand a little bit more. And the book is called Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And I have it on Audibles. I don't remember, somebody on the team somewhere talked about it because that's how I heard about it. So it was like in my queue. So I just started listening to it. And I like it because it's talking to anyone out there that's trying to market themselves. And we are unique because our brand and our marketing is, it's us. But there was some tidbits that I got from it that I thought could really help us. But I also wanted to talk about personal development really quick, because I think these calls can be considered part of your personal development, the National Wake Up Call. If you guys, I know a lot of us really like You Are a Badass, those books by Jen is super, can like rile you up and get you really motivated, but also making sure that you are investing in your business in areas that you need help in. So for me, I was thinking about how I need to tell my story differently to attract different people. Because my issue is that I have no problem selling challenge packs. I have a problem like getting people that want to work the business. So like you guys, most of you guys were challengers that became coaches, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's how I am. But I just want to be one of those badass people that recruits like 50 coaches a month. And so I'm like, hey, what do I need to do that's different? I need to tell my story different, or I need to be talking differently. And I also get a lot of people that message me constantly that are like, you're so inspiring, but then they don't want to sign up. And it's really strange because I'm like, but what? So like there's a disconnect there, right? So like I feel like this book is kind of helping me think about that. So just make sure that you guys, I know we are all very busy, so it's hard to like be on these calls and then have all this time to like read a book. But that's why I love Audibles, because I can just like listen to it, and I listen to it in chunks in the car. But making sure that your personal development is like pushing you to like think differently and grow from it. Like there's the good kind of personal development that like makes you feel warm and fuzzy and like you want to conquer the world. And then there's the personal development that like makes you, just self-evaluate and think differently and kind of push you out of your comfort zone. So for me, that's storytelling in a different way, because my storytelling works to inspire people and sign up challengers. That's awesome. But I want people to read my posts and read my income posts and like read about the business opportunity and realize that they can do it too, instead of just like being like, high five, Amber. I'm like, no, but you too. And so like, that's where I'm trying to like, so anyway, so what we were going to do tonight is talk a little bit about that with you guys and maybe kind of open you up to think about how you're sharing to maybe change it too. Not that there's anything wrong. All sharing is good sharing, and all of your storytelling and showing up, even just showing up and posting like a workout selfie is something, because it's going to remind people that you're there, and it's going to, let people know what you're doing. But we have to we got to stand out in the masses and figure out like what's making people just say go you versus how do I sign up. Kate, did you want to add anything before?
I want to add something about the personal development too. And like you kind of said this, but I talk to coaches and I'll be like, what personal development are you reading? They're like, I'm reading You Are a Badass Again. And I'm like, why are you reading it again? Like, I'm okay with that, but I'm glad you're doing something. But you don't want to be reading the same book over and over, or taking like a month. Like, you guys should be able to listen to a book a month, if not 2 books a month, or like read multiple books, but also I even consider there to be different types. Like, I think these calls are more business development, and I think the National Wake Up Calls are like business development. And then I think there is personal development, which is more like internal growth, but then it's important to have both. So like maybe you'll work on something that's like, working on your mindset. I think your mindset is like personal development, but if you're learning how to grow your team or market yourself, that takes more of like business development. So just being aware of that too. And like Amber said, finding something that works for what you're going through now, or like helps you grow in whatever area that you need to. But yeah, and again, with this call, I really hope you guys want to be interactive, because sometimes before our calls, Amber and I will message each other and we're like, what do we talk about? Like, sometimes we just feel like floating talking heads, I think. And like, I'm glad, we always are stoked when we hear that you guys get stuff out of these calls and you are like fired up, or you feel like the takeaways are great. But we want you guys to step up as leaders. We want to end 2019 with more leaders on our team and more people like stepping up. And I think the best way for you guys to step up is here. Like, this is the first step to stepping up, is like maybe start talking on these calls, sharing about the National Wake Up Call on the team pages, like just being aware of what's going on and contributing. Because you have to remember, we're not your boss, we're not your CEO, you're your own CEO. And like, we're all business partners. Yes, we're your mentors. Yes, we are here to help you and support you. But I think for our teams to really be successful this year, and that's like the goal, so we don't continue to stay stagnant, is that we need to see more leaders develop. And that's what we want to start here. And that's why we want to hear from you guys, because it can help you grow, but also you can set yourself apart and talk about it on your social media and use that as like something to share about, which we're going to talk about storytelling. But I just really want you guys to see yourself as the leaders that you are, because you are leaders in your businesses, and it's time to like start acting like one. So
yeah, and this is a safe place to do it. Like, nobody's going to judge you if you have a question, or if you want to, speak up, or I don't know. Like, this is definitely the place. When I was a brand new coach, I don't even know what happened, but somehow I got wrapped up into doing an inviting video for Amy for like a training. And I was like, I overthought it. It was so, oh my God, it was so bad. And like, but it's made me, it like pushed me, you know what I mean? Like, it made me like record myself. And that was the first time I ever tried to like edit myself. I put way too much energy into that. It was just for some like dumb, not dumb, but like a small training. But so like, I know some of you guys go live in our team pages too, which is really helpful. Just things that are working for you, things that just any kind of wins, like any of that stuff is just practice. Like, even just, how we go live on our stories, that's practice for just getting better about talking about what we're offering. But doing that in our team pages and on these calls can be good too, because it just, I don't know, just gets easier. And then the more you talk about something, the easier it is to like tell someone else about it. So if like, you have like a stranger that comes in your life that wants to know about coaching, it's not like a bunch of like, blah, 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 it's like you've kind of been through it and you can practice like with us.
Also, it's practice for you guys, for your own teams, because we want you guys to build your own teams, your own communities, and you have this and you can rely on this for as long as you want, and we really want you to, because you don't need to make it harder on yourself. But eventually, a year from now, 2 years from now, maybe even 6 months from now, if you recruit like a mofo, like you could be hosting your own team calls and you could be doing that. Like, that's how you have to think about this too. We're here and we're going to be hosting these calls every single week, but you have to think about where you want to be and how you want to step up for your team too, even if it's not there. How you get there.
Yeah.
So did we want to start with a brainstorming exercise? Is that what we wanted to start with?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to kind of like talk about a couple key points that I wrote down. I'm like this whole book. I'm like a chapter in. I'm like, let me tell you all about this book. But there were just a couple things that stood out to me that made me realize, because I'm thinking about like evaluating my own posts and evaluating your guys' posts. And I'm trying to, so I'm going to give you guys a couple of things that made me think, and then we're going to brainstorm 2 lists. And I want everyone to kind of like write down some ideas, and then we can just share them, whether you want to chat it in the chat box or if you want to like say it. I'm sure a lot of them are going to be very similar. It's not going to be a hard exercise, but just to get us thinking a little bit differently. So in this book, basically, he's talking about how everybody, so we already kind of know this, like everybody is thinking about themselves. And so when you're on social media or you're like scrolling or you're reading something, you are looking at the world, everything's revolved around you, because you are the star of your world. And so anytime that you're interested in purchasing something or reading something, it's because it's somehow serving you. Like you can see yourself in whatever it is. Like anytime I've ever purchased something, it's because it's offering a solution to a problem that I have. And so part of our issue, I think, is that we are sharing all the time, but we're not clear about what problem what problem we are solving. So if we are like, I worked out and it's so awesome, I'm so cool, someone might be like, because they're like the hero in their own story, right? So they're going to see your story and they're going to go, that's so cool, and then keep scrolling. Like they're not seeing like how that could help them. And another thing, so it's basically like thinking about how everyone in their life is thinking about themselves and they're thinking about how they're the hero in their story, and they're looking for a guide or someone to offer them a solution to a problem that they're having. That's like kind of marketing 101. And there was some examples of like, how like Apple was able to really break free. I mean, they started their computer tech company, but because Steve Jobs went to go work for Pixar, he started thinking more about storytelling, and the whole campaign changed from like breaking down computers, all the and relatable to, the day-to-day person. Like, I just want to listen to music and connect with my friends, and like tapping into that market instead of it being all about, how fast ROM and all this stuff. And like, so thinking about somebody's problem and identifying that. So think about how like when people are reading your posts, what they're going to get from it. So we want to, what is this? Apple tells.
Just like Apple tells a story, like I've seen it explained in marketing books, why Apple is so much more successful than Samsung and other things, because they solve the problem. They come up with whatever they need to, and they show a story, and then they make it compelling.
It's relatable to like humans, like, and there's so many examples. Like, I'm not going to bore you guys with everything, but it's like, and we've talked about this before, but like, can someone come to your page and within like 15 seconds understand what it is that you're offering? And so it needs to be clear, like right away, that you have a solution to a problem. And it talks a lot about how in storytelling, if there are too many variables and too many details, it's going to confuse people, and they're just going to be like, I don't even know what's going on anymore. So it doesn't mean that we're not multifaceted human beings with lots of different elements that make us unique, but it's about, and I'm guilty of having these long drawn out posts a lot of the time, but it's about the balance of having some that are direct and talking about like how you can solve a problem. Like, how can you be the guide? How can you be the solution? And how can you go from someone just looking at you and thinking that you're inspiring, but like a peer and how you can become inspiring, but maybe like the person to take them to the next level. So, what else did I want to say? So there's lots of examples in this book about like even how Starbucks was able to, you know, you think about it, it's just a cup of coffee. People were drinking it at home for like 50 cents a cup to almost free. And then all of a sudden, like Starbucks starts marketing themselves in a way where it's like you could come and connect and get the coffee that you want every time the same way and friendly and like all this stuff. And then they can charge $4 a cup and America will pay for it because they see the value in it. It's not that it's like the best coffee in the world. It's that it's consistent. They see the value. And sometimes the value is more important. And so the cool thing about what we're selling is we're selling like life, you know, health, lifestyle, like changes for the rest of someone's life. Like we can change someone's life with what we're doing. But we have to create that value by storytelling, by consistently showing up and like, you know, being consistent with our story, but also explaining how it's going to solve a problem for them. And that can be by you telling how it solved your problem. So instead of just saying like, you know, talking about your problems, writing it out in a way where it can solve theirs. And so I think what we can do to brainstorm is we can all just start with a list of ways that Beachbody's changed our lives. So that's really simple. Like, whether that's just weight loss, community, eating healthy, meal planning, you know, self-care. I just said like probably half of them, but you know, like anything else, I'm going to shut up, but just like write some ideas of things that are particular to you, because even though we're going to be talking about solving other, you know, people's problems, it makes more sense if it's like a problem that we've also had. So yeah, exactly. More positive mindset. That's perfect. So just like, I'll shut up and then we can just take a couple minutes to just like write a couple things of just like how Beachbody's helped us, or even someone in our family. Cause I know we have some people in here whose like parents have lost weight because of this.
And one thing I want to add while we're like brainstorming, thinking about this, is what I loved is Carl talked about this a lot this last year, is that we have the total solution to overall like healthy lifestyle, but not just like health and fitness as the baseline, but financially and with personal development, like literally we have the total solution. So I think it's about digging deep and like getting creative with these things too.
Right. Because it's not just because basically if you're like, oh, Beachbody's improved my mindset, someone reading that really quick would be like, cool. But you could tell an example of like, how did your mindset change? You know, like before Beachbody, I don't know, I'm like brain dead right now, but like you could think of a specific example of how it's like it changed your mindset in a certain way. Maybe you get along better with your partner. Maybe you're a more patient parent. Maybe you stopped hating your commute as much as you used to hate it, or, you know, whatever that is, because that could be a whole post about like, you know, a specific thing that someone could read and be like, dude, that's me, you know?
My example for mindset is my mindset used to be expect the worst and hope for the best. Like that was my outlook on life. I was a pessimistic optimist or an optimistic pessimist. I don't know. I like wanted to be I wanted to be optimistic, but I was a hardcore pessimistic person. I feel like I said that funny, but like personal development and just being surrounded by the community has like brought me up. And now I expect the best and I don't even have to hope for it. I just work for it. So, you know.
Just give it like one more minute. Okay, I think it's in a minute. I don't know. But yeah, and like Kate said, it could be business stuff too. So I'm gonna like throw Amanda under the bus really quick and talk about her for a second, because I saw her yesterday and she's been having like a hard time with a lot of things going on in her life. She's making a lot of strides to move forward, but it's been like a shitty hand, and she's still showing up on her social media and she's still doing her best, and she doesn't have a lot of money right now. And she made it out to the Jen Sincero thing last night, and she was talking about, we're talking about sneaking her into Super Saturday, but she was like, you did mention at one point, you're like, well, I do get paid on Thursday and like my $200, and like, you know, and it kind of, I was thinking about you today, because although $200 is not very much when you're unemployed and the government is shut down and you can't get any unemployment or any student loans or anything, it's like real shitty times. But at the same time, like trying, because I think I do the same thing where I am like, I try to be very like real, like I try to be positive, but then I'm also like, I'm not going to sugarcoat this fucking sucks that this is going on. And so I think to try to remember, like, even if your check is only $200, like saying something about, I was just thinking about this today, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but like, even if it was like, I made $200, which is really great because the government shut down and I can't get my money right now. And I know that I'm going to be making more money soon, the more that I pour into this, something like that. Cause then you're sharing about a real thing that's happening to a lot of people. A lot of people are like being affected by this, and it's your real life, but it has a positive spin on it. And it's still, I mean, I want you to make more money, a lot more money with this. I want this to be your full-time thing, and you can and you will. But it's kind of about how can we, and this is like me thinking out loud about how I want to share too, but how can I highlight the positive in a way where I'm not sugarcoating my life, but also that someone could really benefit from hearing that, because they see you showing up and they see you doing this coaching thing and they see how hard you're trying. And you know, sometimes it's nice to just share the like little wins, even if it's only like a $200 paycheck. So I was just using that as an example of like, yeah, just how to be real, but also share a win. Yeah.
And I will say, when I used to work like retail jobs, $200 was a lot of money. Like sometimes that would be my weekly paycheck. So like, I think that's huge. Before Amber and I share our list, because you guys can guess, like we would love to hear your guys's. Since we want this to be more interactive, you can unmute yourself. And nothing is too big or too small.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, oh gosh. All right. I lost weight, gained confidence, built muscle. Okay, we're talking physical here. It's helped me get out of this reclusive shell that I have, because I've always kind of been an optimist pessimist. Just kind of like always had to like, you know, if you just assume that that everyone will disappoint you, you will you'll never be disappointed. So that's helped me a little bit to kind of open up myself a little bit. Helped me pay my bills in hard times. Yeah, the $200 is definitely going to help a lot, because it's like, I don't know, it's really hard right now. It's helped me weed out toxic people, like my ex-husband, my now ex-husband. That guy. It's got me into personal development. I've always been like made fun of people, but it's like personal development, whatever, self-help, like, you know, there's just like so many rom-coms where they make fun of people that do that. So it's made me see the value in actually like personal development. It's also helping me in my English class now, because I'm doing like a pretty hardcore English class where it's like comprehension, and so I already have great practice with it. So I think I'm going to ace this class. And then it's helped me be home with my dog, because my dog was paralyzed in the back legs for a few days ago. He's fine now. It's just a back thing. Anyways, that's it. So I think that covers my entire life.
I love that.
Thank you. That's awesome. I mean, not the bad stuff. That part's not awesome, but I think it's great. But also too, like I keep talking about this like Rise Up journal thing that, and you don't, if you didn't get one, it's too late, unfortunately, but there's a whole part in the back about like book of wins, you know, and I think it's going back to gratitude, and just thinking about any ways we should be practicing gratitude. Because I think it's so easy to like focus on everything, especially when it's like, I do feel like when it rains, it pours. Like if something bad happens, it's like comes in threes or more. And so I think it's really important to try to remember. We were doing the miracle morning for a little while. So we were like writing it out, and now I haven't done that in a little bit. But now my alarm goes off, and this is my morning, because it's kind of like what Moira does, where she does these threes. My alarm goes off, and then for 3 minutes, I say just gratitude out loud to myself, by myself, just like, I like my bed. I'm glad it's a new day. I'm glad I got to go get coffee. Like I just list that kind of stuff. And then I do like 3 minutes of prayer, which is just like trying to, whatever you want to call that. But I've only been doing it for like a week, but it's cool. It doesn't take very much time, and it like sets me kind of for like a good day. So side note, just while we're thinking about these lists, of like how Beachbodies change their lives, I think it's also important to just remember gratitude changes your brain chemistry. And it's so important to focus on the good, because there's so much bad all the time, and we have to really focus on the good. Does anyone else want to go?
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah.
So I've been listening to Expectation Hangover with Kel with the Empower You project that we've been doing. And they talk about in the book, they talk about how your negative thoughts create these road paths, and how your mind goes directly to those negative thoughts. But when you train your brain, it moves to like a better path. So it's very, like, just reading that, it was very interesting. And like doing personal development, I think, is the biggest thing that has helped me. So my boyfriend writes like reminders in his notes for like positive, like just general things, like affirmations, like remember to do this, remember to slow down, remember to blah blah blah. And I used to be like, why are you doing that? Oh my god. And now I'm like, I get it. And like I realize like how much confidence I lack in myself. And I think that's like the physical, mental, overall confidence like Beachbody encompasses, and like all of us, it's just like literally amazing. So it's really cool that we can all get together and keep this vibe going, because it's really nice. So that's all.
Thank you.
I'm gonna call out Katie. I'm gonna start picking up.
We're calling people out now.
Yep.
I was like, Kate's gonna call me out. I know it. I felt it. I felt your like vibes through here.
Oh man.
Okay. But I thought of some good stuff. So one of my biggest thing is that I have always been a convenience eater, which the most convenient thing to hit in America is drive-through. And it's really difficult to get something healthy in a drive-through. There's not that many of those options. And so what Beachbody has done is really made like convenience eating more like with Shakeology, and even like with the containers and stuff like that. Like, because here's the thing, I still hit drive-thrus here and there, but I make better choices, and I like really think about it with my containers. And like if I get a burger, like I don't get French fries because it's like, or I take the bun off, or like I just make those kind of healthier choices to still try to make it fit like the container system as much as it can. But like with Shakeology, that's also been something that's like, there's my convenient meal right there. So that's one thing that I'm trying to share about more too. Another is like having the workouts. I'm just like, I have focused workouts now versus going to the gym and wandering around. And like going to the gym for 2 hours, lifting weights, and then ending up spending like 45 minutes just like walking on the treadmill, which like is great. But I really like having the workouts now that are more like focused and like have like an intention behind them. Like I love that 80 Day was like building the booty, and like all about like that was kind of the hype about it. So that was like one thing with the workouts. There's no crowd at my home gym, which I like, because my job, I get off at 4 o'clock, which is like the worst time to go to the gym. So like I can just work out whenever, and I don't have to deal with like waiting for a machine or waiting for space or like waiting to get near space or like the rooms. One thing that Carl said on the call was, and like Kate kind of mentioned it too, was that it's like the total solution for the American obesity epidemic, which I think is like huge, because like that really is like with drive-throughs, with restaurants like having huge portions, and like it really is like an epidemic in America. And I really love that the fitness hype has become such like a trendy thing, and I think Beachbody offers it in such a healthy way versus being like, here's a wrap, here's a pill, drink 2 of these shakes a day and then eat 500 calories in real food, and like, yeah, you're gonna lose weight like because you're only eating 1,000 calories a day. Like so I think that we like really offer like a solution in a healthy way, which is cool. I think the income opportunity is just awesome. I went to grad school, so like I have my master's, like I'm working towards my marriage family therapist license. My current job pays about half, like yearly, what I paid for grad school. And like, that sucks. And we just got like, the company just got like a 1% raise, which like is like less than $50 a paycheck. Like, you know, and like we were so excited about that, but like it's kind of lame. And so like with Beachbody, it's cool that we like can literally give ourselves a raise whenever we want, and we can increase that income whenever we want, just by doing the work. So those are just the things that I thought of.
No, I love that. And I like that it's about like multiple things. It's not just one part. Yeah. Okay, Erica, you were going to go next?
Okay, I think I unmuted myself. Yeah. So I think it's more or less what kind of everyone said. The main takeaway was just personal development. I never really did it before, at least dug too much into it. But one of the most important things was that I became like more understanding and more accepting and more confident in just asking, like not fearing that things were going to disappear. Like I grew up and it was like, you go to work every day. You are lucky to have a job. So even asking for time off or anywhere was like this. And I talked about it in my stories yesterday, was just, you had this immense guilt. Like, no, you might, just a sense of loss. And just working on listening to so much personal development, reading, it was like, it's not going to disappear. Like, what's the worst that can happen? You can get fired. You can be broke. You can, not have a home. Like all that's happened. Like nothing's so detrimental that you can't move forward from it, And aside from that, it's the influence. I want to use influence. I've kind of had on my friends who one of my sisters signed up and did everything. She was awesome. She did, she lost a lot of weight. My friends won't, but they now text me with their workouts, like constantly. Like, oh, I'm not going to do that. Totally don't want to do it. Don't want to sign up whatsoever. But like, will send me screenshots of themselves on the treadmills. So it's like this inadvertent influence, which I feel good about because, obviously I want them to be healthy. I'd love it if they do it with me, but still. So just, I think just more not giving, I don't want to cuss on here, but not giving a F about, just doing it and not caring. So, and consistency and sustainability, because I'm a little older and I've tried like a lot of weight loss stuff, but just this has been the most sustainable for me. That's it.
Awesome.
I love that.
All right, who hasn't gone?
I'll go. So
Yay.
on my list here. Oh, sorry, I'm adjusting my volume because I don't want it to like do the weird thingy. Can you hear me okay? I don't know. I just plugged in a webcam. Okay. So I've already got lots of notes from you guys, so thank you, first of all. But some of the big things that it's helped me with is like pushing past fear, because I have a horrible anxiety. And so just sometimes doing things that might seem like normal, like talking to people or doing things,
sound like normal things is really anxiety inducing for me. But it's really taught me like how, like, even though there's fear, to push past that fear, all the awesome stuff is on the other end. Like, it's pushed me so far that I want to go skydiving later this year, and I'm terrified of heights. So I'm like, this is the best way to face that. And before I did any like weight loss stuff or anything like that, I always felt like fear kind of controlled me, and I just didn't do things if they scared me. But now I'm like, okay, you got to do it anyway, just like inviting and stuff like that. So that's definitely pushed me in that way. Just like Amanda, I love that I can stay at home with my doggo. She actually has a back injury right now. So I was just giving her medication, if you saw that. So it's really nice to be able to stay home at her and make sure she's okay and be able to do vet stuff and not have to worry about timing and work and stuff. I can adjust my own schedule around it. And then it's taught me about like things that you really, really want are going to be really, really hard. Like, I will fully admit, because I was kind of overweight my whole life, I took the easy way out for everything, including trying to diet. And as soon as I realized that it wasn't going to be easy and it was going to be really difficult, and I pushed through it anyway, I realized I have to have more patience for things that take time, and I can't take shortcuts. And that's even helped me in my disc golf game. Disc golf, I'm about to go professional, but sometimes it's, I know, I'm so excited, but it's taught me like to be super patient with my game, because I'm not just going to get better overnight, and I tend to get frustrated if I'm not doing well. So sometimes I think back to like my workouts and my weight loss and be like, you didn't lose 60 pounds overnight. Like, you're not going to play disc golf well overnight. It's the same type of thing. It requires hard work and consistency and diligence, just like the business too. So it kind of overspills into everything in life, which has been awesome. And then, of course, finding more positive friends and more positive people. When I finally decided to get healthy, I had to cut out like everybody in my life, because every relationship I had was an extremely toxic relationship, friendship, boyfriends, girlfriends, like everything was super toxic. And I didn't really have a lot of friends for quite a few months, almost a year. And then I slowly started letting people back in. But since being like part of Beachbody, I've had a huge influx of friends, just because they're all positive people who are trying to grow and are working on themselves and working on their lives and working on their business. So these are people that I can, most of the time trust, and I've made some awesome friendships through this, who are like genuine friendships, and we actually care about each other, and just instead of just feeding each other toxicity. So that's really cool. And that's kind of most of my list here. So yeah.
I love it. It's really good. And like everything you just said too, I think we can all relate to that, I think, in a lot of ways. And I'm even making mental notes of things that I want to talk about. And this, not to just make everything that we're sharing, because it's really like important. It's not just about how can we create this into a post to make money, but it's about remembering that sometimes when we tell people, oh, we lost weight or we got healthy, they don't see that stuff. They don't see the challenge, the hard part, the friends you lost, the relationships you had to rebuild. And I think talking about that stuff can give other people hope too. So it's like breaking down, it's more than just weight loss. It's more than just, people, if you got to think about, like, all of us need to think about what people on the outside are seeing. And it's more than just like our workouts and our nutrition. It's like this kind of stuff. So hopefully everyone's writing down notes or thinking more about how they can turn these into ways to share about what we're doing and use it for inviting. Because I think that's where we're going to see more, we're going to reach more people, because they're going to be like, they're going to see themselves in our stories. They're going to see that, how that, how we are now the mentor or the guide to their problem, instead of it just being like, oh, another girl that lost 60 pounds, like, good for her. It's like, no, like, you could too. And it might be hard, but I have tools for you that will like keep you going, keep you accountable for the rest of your life. So, I think that's great.
Sorry, I just want to like jump on that, because that actually reminds me of one thing that I didn't even write down, which was helping me maintain my weight loss and like keeping it off and not going back. because that is a very easy thing to do. In my opinion, maintenance is the hardest part of weight loss. And so being able to keep it off and having that importance and that community is like, so yeah, just want to hop on that one.
No, that is so true, especially in a culture of we like, there's so many companies that make so much money off the fact that people are going to lose weight, gain it, lose it, gain it, lose it, gain it. It's kind of amazing that Beachbody is so profitable, considering we are offering solutions that do last them forever, but they can, like, you know, as we know, they keep coming up with cool ideas to like help reach more people and like different programs for different people. So that is something huge that we probably should talk about more, like more about how this is, like, we talk about lifestyle and stuff, but I think if you have lost some weight, talk about how long you've kept it off, talk about how it was really hard to lose it, but now it's part of your life and it's not as hard. I mean, I know that losing the weight was hard for me, not now with the pregnancy, but losing weight was hard. But then it got to a place where like my taste changed, the way I looked at food changed, like how Katie said, like what she orders even in a fast food is going to change. So it's like, it's hard, but then it gets easier like once you have those tools. And I think that's something that we should talk about too, to people, so they know it's not going to always suck. It's not like you're always going to feel like you're deprived. I wanted to read, because Jen just commented a little thing, as I wanted to read it because if anyone's watching the recording, because she can't talk. So she said, I can't talk because I have a living room full of loud dudes right now, but I love that BB has given me a healthy way to bond and spend time with my friends. It's helped me to identify as a healthy person when I think of myself as a leader and a coach. And also it gives me something to come back to when I fall off the wagon, like I did for the first half of my pregnancy. Jen, will you type how many weeks you are right now? Because I can't remember how far along you are in your pregnancy, but I think that's great, because I think a lot of people do use 19 weeks. That's awesome. So you're already into your second trimester. And I know a lot of people, I never had any morning sickness, so I just like powered through and I was fine, but I know a lot of people do. And so, and I'm just now like at the end of my pregnancy starting to sign up some people that are pregnant, when I thought, oh, for sure, I'm going to sign up all these pregnant people. And I just now am. So whatever your story is, if you fell off, if you went through a hard time, you got pregnant and it was hard in the beginning, or you went through a breakup or whatever, like, just know that, you know, you can always come back and your business is here for you. And you can talk about that to other people as well. And that can motivate them to know that it's not like, you're not a failure because, you know, maybe you took a couple weeks off or something on your health journey. All right. It's already like 6:48. Like, I don't know. I don't want to if anyone else wants to go, you can go, but I wanted to just touch on just the conclusion of the call, just so we can kind of get through this so we're not here forever. But so now we've like thought about a list of things of how Beachbody, like thinking a little bit more clearly on those topics, or maybe drawing inspiration from each other, because you can always tell someone's story without being like, here's their transformation photo. I mean, you can literally in your stories talk about how you were on a team call tonight and somebody moved you and motivated you. Like, there's so many different ways that you can like use our team as a way to talk about, you know, how to help people. But now I want you guys to just also think about, how could these solutions that we've experienced, how can they solve people's problems? So like Katie earlier was like, you know, obesity problem drive-throughs, like right there, that is like an amazing post talking about how, you know, like sometimes you have to just go through a drive-through and maybe now you make different changes, you know, to what you order. Like, that's a problem for people. Time is a problem. Convenience is a problem. People's schedules is a problem. Like, just think about how there's so many problems, and then like how we can use our solutions to answer the problems. Does that make sense? So I don't know if you guys just want to like brainstorm for a minute on like problems, or they all kind of go hand in hand, and I just said a few, but maybe you guys will come up with a few more that I didn't just spout out.
One big one I want to say, growing up, I always had digestion issues. Let's talk about poop, because healthy people talk about poop, like once you get healthy. And if you're not healthy, you're thinking about poop because it's like uncomfortable. So like Shakeology was the first thing in my entire life that like made me regular. And what's crazy is I didn't even realize like how irregular I was until I started drinking Shakeology. And like people don't realize they're supposed to poop after they eat. What? Like people don't know. Like, so I think that's a huge oh, people's digestion and gut health, please.
Yeah, well, gut health and digestion is huge. Even if you don't want to say poop, it's like, feeling uncomfortable after you eat is not normal. Like having headaches after you eat, like all these things from eating processed crap, which is what most people have to eat because they don't know better. Like how our bodies are. I always just like to think about how I treated my body so bad for so long, and it was coming out in illnesses that I couldn't kick, weight loss that wouldn't come off. Low energy, but we're so resilient, right? So we could just drink more coffee. We can just like eat more sugar. We can just drink more alcohol. Like we can do all these things to kind of like get us over the hump of these like uncomfortable things. But then when you actually change your life and start to eat better and take care of yourself, all of a sudden, like for me, I'll have like 2 drinks and be like, have the worst hangover the next day. And it's like, wow, my body's so much more in tune with itself. Like, so I think it's important to, think about, and just not, I don't know what to say.
It's like showing people how good they can actually feel, because I
Yeah.
didn't feel good. I like thought feeling like shit, pun intended there, all the time was completely normal.
Yeah, like normalizing it. Like everyone thinks they should be walking around with headaches and like
constipated.
Yeah. Right. And we live in a society where it's like, I love this metaphor that I heard one time. Like if you sit on a tack, do you put a Band-Aid on it or do you take the tack out? And we live in this society of like, oh, I take headache medicine every day. That's normal. No, it's not normal. That is not normal to have chronic, like it's not normal to have gas all the time. It's not normal to have headaches all the time. Like, yes, these things are going to happen time to time, but yeah, like thinking about how we can, so that's a problem, obviously, chronic pain, digestion. Yeah, if anyone else has any other ones.
One of the ones that has really, so like when I was a teenager, like I was like through high school and stuff is when I was like my heaviest, and I hated going into dressing rooms. And so it's like getting healthier has made it to where like I like to try on clothes now, and like I've gotten more like trendy, or like I kind of like I just bought like a furry pink vest from Target because it was on sale and it's like so cute. But like in high school, like I wouldn't have pushed myself out of that comfort zone because I wasn't like feeling myself. And so like I think that's like really great. It's like I still don't really like dressing rooms. I have a little PTSD there. But like going and trying on, like buying clothes is more fun now that I'm like healthier. And I think a lot of people can relate to that.
I like to think about it as it feels, I get to wear the clothes I wanted to wear and I feel good in them, which I think is huge.
I love that. Yeah, there's so many different things that I think, whatever you guys got from this call, hopefully it was just to kind of think a little differently. And because I just think we get so used to, okay, I got to post, I did my workout, I drank my Shakeology, I'm sharing about it. Like, why don't they want to sign up with me? And it's like, Missy, stop jingling. So I think it's just about maybe like, yeah, how can we get a little bit more clear? And everything we talked about could be posts for like months. I mean, try, if you can, to keep it to one topic in your posts, because if it's too many things, if you're like, oh, my food and then my poop and then like if it's too many things, like, you are going to have some people that love your posts and they're going to read everything all the way through. And then you're going to have a lot of people that just scroll and keep going. And so I think it's important to make sure you're telling your story, but kind of keep it on point, or drive it home, because if there's too much noise. Another thing they said in this book, which I loved, was, does what you're trying to sell or what you're trying to market or say, is it causing your customer to like burn too many calories to like break down what you're trying to do? Like, is it causing too many like mental, because our brains do burn a lot of calories. And so his point was like, because if it's too much noise and it's too much, like someone's going to be like, I can't like with this right now. And they're not going to get it's going to cost them too much brain power. Like it comes back to like a human evolutionary thing though. Like thinking takes calories, and consumers want easy, digestible, straight to the point. What are you selling? You know, like, and even though we're not like selling, it's like, just remember that you can have a mixture of, you know, heart-wrenching storytelling, but make sure that you also have just some posts that are like call to actions, but also just like get to the point of what you're saying so people can digest it easier.
Yeah, dialing it in, getting really specific. And it's not saying you can't, like, you can make separate posts about things, and that's what's great. It's just giving you continued content. But just, I think, picking one of those, like, reasons Beachbody changed your life, dialing it down to one of those problems and focusing strictly on that for that post.
Yeah, and if that's like your thing, like say poop is your thing, or I keep saying that, or like I keep using your example of like the drive-through, but like one time's not enough. You might need to say it 20 times. Like it doesn't mean just because you talked about it one time that like that's it, you know? So it's like it's okay to take a couple core elements of like your story, and then the problem that you know that you are solving for someone, and just keep regurgitating that in different ways, different examples, different pictures, because it's kind of like part of your brand. Like we have to kind of keep promoting our brand. So just because you talked about it one time doesn't mean you can't talk about it 2 days from now. So keep that in mind too.
I think this was a good call. It was fun hearing you guys talk and interact.
Yeah, it got me all fired up. Anytime anyone said anything, I'm like, and then way more to say all of a sudden. So even though I'm like, I don't want to talk all the time, but no, I love hearing from you guys because it gets me excited. And I hope that it gets you guys excited.
And again, we really just want to see you guys like step up as leaders. And this is just practice for you guys to run your own team calls and like lead these team calls and make 2019 like your year to do that, your year to like step into this, because we already all have that role as a coach. Like as soon as you sign up, you have that role. As soon as you sign up your first person, you're a leader. Like, so it's time to step into that more. And again, like you can't screw this up. Amber and I say the weirdest shit on these calls. Like we don't know what we're talking about half the time, you know, like we're not perfect by any means. So I think sometimes it is just like getting over the fear of it and knowing that we're not going to judge you. We're all here to support each other and help each other grow. And that's what these calls are about. And I think you guys don't realize how many people on these calls like can relate to you guys more than they relate to us. Like you guys relate to you more than you relate to us. And like you can learn so much from each other, even with your questions and what you're going through and what you're like overcoming. That is probably more helpful than what Amber and I might say.
Yeah, especially if you're newer or struggling with like, you know, a similar problem as someone else. And if you're ever on a call and you don't have anything to say, you just be like, I don't have anything to say right now. Like no one's gonna, you're not very, no, we just want to encourage you to talk, but like no pressure. So if you're watching the recording, you're like, I'm never getting on a call. I don't want to get called on. Like, don't feel like that's, you know, I know there's a lot of us that are more introverted. And so this is a safe place, but if, you know, how Jen was just like, I can't talk right now, like just say that. And that's totally fine. So just keep that in mind too. Like no one's going to get in trouble. We just want to like encourage you guys to, share with each other more. And I think it's just more inspiring than just hearing from me and Kate all the time. Cool. Thank you guys so much for showing up and spending your Tuesday evening with us. Kate will get the recording up soon. And yeah, we still got, what's the date? Today's
8th.
Still early into 2019. We have so much time to hit Success Club, help people. I'm doing a giveaway on my team page. Anytime anybody sells a challenge pack, you get entered to win a pair of workout leggings. So that's pretty exciting. I borrowed that from Danny.
I that too. I'm doing it. And
I just steal ideas from other coaches. It's cool. And their images. It's fine.
Yeah, I was making my own, and that's why I forgot to post it. So thanks for that reminder. I saw you post
I was just like, I like her picture. I'll use that. That's fine. Like, and that's just an example of like, don't make this harder than it needs to be. You guys just Like, you don't have to recreate the wheel. Just like do whatever. You see another coach doing something you like, do it.
Also, I want to add Super Saturday is this weekend, or Super Sunday or Super Friday, wherever it is in your area. And I hope everybody gets to one because they're super fun. And I'm excited to see everybody and figure out where the Success Club trip is next year. Woo woo. So.
All right. Good night, guys. Bye.
Bye.